안녕하세요. 어서 오세요. 반갑습니다. Welcome back to Talk to Me in Korean, everybody. And a lot was going on in the chat right before we started. So, first of all, 케일라님, 어서 오세요. Welcome to Talk to Me in Korean. 아우디님의 친구 케일라님이 Talk to Me in Korean에 처음 오셨고요. 아니면 라이브 수업에 처음 오셨고. And Cheryl, you gifted 5 people a membership to Talk to Me in Korean's YouTube channel. Thank you so much. 선물 감사합니다. And I also posted a poll in the chat. Which do you personally prefer, 반말 or 존댓말? So I posted it because today we're talking about business Korean. It'll be easier than the previous live classes like 2 weeks ago, I guess, sentences, because I felt at that time maybe I should kind of make the level a little easier for everybody to get started on. So 오늘은 비즈니스 한국어 이야기를 할 건데 그래도 비즈니스 한국어 안에서는 반말을 거의 안 쓰기 때문에 because we rarely use informal language 반말. I just wanted to maybe start off the conversation with this poll. And I know 반말 and 존댓말 are not completely correctly translated into informal language and polite language because 반말 doesn't automatically mean impolite, right? Just because you talk to somebody in 반말 doesn't mean you're being rude, right? So, yeah, let's talk about it. So, poll, let me open that. And I think 72% of people are choosing 존댓말. And I can see why. I also personally usually only speak 존댓말 with pretty much everybody in my life other than, say, my family. I still speak 존댓말 to my parents, even to this day. I have never spoken 반말 to my parents, except for maybe when I was a little boy. So I can say safely that I prefer 존댓말 in many cases. But 반말, when you speak 반말 to somebody younger or somebody of your age, you have this psychological kind of sensation that, okay, between these people, there's no barrier. Like you can be completely honest, 솔직하게 말해도 되고, stuff like that. Like you don't have to be so like polite and formal. 반말을 고르신 분들, people who chose 반말, the 30% of you, please tell me why you prefer 반말. 네, 반말을 더 좋아하시는 이유를 한번 말해주세요. 궁금합니다. I'm curious. Okay. 일단, let me check if the text. Okay. Sometimes this gets stuck, so I have to reload it. And yeah, it's working. And today, while you are answering my question of why you prefer 반말 if you chose it, let me just quickly give you a preview of the sentences that we will look at together. These are really short, like relatively short sentences in business Korean, but very useful. I've picked 15 as promised in the title. And by the way, if you're watching this for the first time on our YouTube channel, we're close to 1.9 million subscribers. Thank you so much. And you can click on the description section and expand it to see all our major links. So you can learn with our curriculum, you can learn with our reading app, and yeah, it does that, the thumbs up reaction. And you can also practice speaking with our Korean speaking app. So please click on all the links and see which one will be good for you. Okay, 더 편해요. Alright, 반말을 더 좋아하는 이유. 존댓말, 반말, 어떤 게 더 편해요? 존댓말을 사용할 때 더 편해요. 그럴 수 있죠. 좋아요. 이거를 보고. With 반말, sometimes the conjugations are easier. That makes sense. 맞아요. 존댓말은, 그러니까 반말은 예를 들어서 빨리 와. Like, 오다 becomes 빨리 와. Come here quickly. 빨리. Why can't I type today? 오세요. 오시면 좋겠어요. 오십시오. 오시죠. Like there are more variations, and depending on who you're talking with, you need to pick the right level of politeness. So that is one reason that you want to prefer 반말. 반말 is more fun and comfortable. Yeah. There's this game people play where they switch roles and like switch to 반말 altogether. There's two kinds. Okay. 야자 time and 평어 모드. So you might hear this. I think it's a very suitable topic when we're talking about business Korean before we jump fully into business Korean. So these are two types of, I guess, situations or some kind of rule that people say, suggest. For this was like I guess when I was in university or when I was doing my military service, like when I was in my 20s. 야자 is like ya is hey in 반말. So you cannot say ya to your teacher, to your boss, right? It's to your friend. Hey, yeah, come here. Like even you can add it even to somebody's name. 현우야, right? 자 is 가자. 이거 먹자. 이거 하자. 자. So 야, 자 means hey, let's. So it's a nickname for using 반말 to somebody. Time is just time. 야자 time means you flip the hierarchy. So whoever was using 존댓말 to somebody now uses 반말, and whoever was using 반말 now uses 존댓말. So it's flipped. So you're having a 회식 company dinner situation, and the 사장님, 대표님, 부장님, they have to speak 네, 누구누구님, 네, 감사합니다 to people who they were speaking 반말 to, and then the youngest member, the lowest member now can say 야, 현우야. So that's 야자 time. So it's torture for older people, maybe higher ranking people. But 평어 mode these days, it's more equal. Like everybody uses 반말 to each other without being rude. During this 야자 time kind of situation, they deliberately become rude, like because it's a rare opportunity you get where you can yell at your boss. So 야자 time, 평어 mode. So these days people don't really talk about 야자 time. They talk about 평어 mode. And on Threads, the social media platform in Korea, on threads.net, owned by Instagram, made by Instagram, I guess. It's a very, very common trend to see people talking in 평어 only. They're not being rude to each other. They're just ditching 존댓말. So it's an interesting situation. 재미있는 상황이에요. 한번 여기 가서 한국어 보시면 다 반말 또는 평어로 하고 있어요. Swangana says, I sometimes comment in my favorite BTS live or to their post, but end up sounding offensive with 반말 since I mix things up. It can happen. 네, 그래도 괜찮아요. 그런 게 있어요. There's this thing when I guess you can say the same thing about your own native language. When you see a sentence, unless you are like super, super advanced and you are almost at native speaker level, the reader, the listener can usually tell, okay, this might be written by a learner, although very advanced. This might be a learner or a non-Korean person. And all the minor mistakes, all the minor like unnaturalnesses like in your sentences will be understood. 오케이, 그러면 재미있는 설문조사 폴 했으니까 폴 설문조사. Okay, let's talk about the 15 sentences that we are going to look at today. These are all from our course. With this thumbnail, if you go onto our website right now, you can see the Business Korean Basics course with myself wearing this fake tie that our designer added in Photoshop later. I'm wearing a real one in the actual course. And these are all from that course. we also have a more advanced course for business that's called Business Korean Essentials. But yeah, let's say today these will be enough. First of all, when you want to say, please check something, a report, an email, a message that you sent, you can say 확인 부탁드립니다. 확인 부탁드립니다. 확인 is checking, the act of checking something. 확인, but it's linked. 확인, okay, 확인. You can confidently actually emphasize the key sound. 확인, 확인. It's okay like that. And then whenever you ask for a certain action on somebody, you can say 부탁드립니다. 부탁 is a request. 드립니다 is I give you in polite honorific speech. So you can say 확인 부탁드립니다. Please do this. Please check this. And then you can also make it a little longer and more detailed by saying 확인해 주시면, if you can or if you check this, 감사하겠습니다. I will be grateful. So an equivalent of I would appreciate it if you could so and so. 확인해 주시면 감사하겠습니다. I will be thanking you. I will thank you if you check. 확인 sounds like a Spanish name. Kayla, so you're very new to this, so 존댓말 is mostly what you've learned so far, and that's good. That's great. It's a very natural path. So don't even try to rush into 반말, okay? Because you can make a lot of mistakes, make a lot of enemies potentially. 그리고 그 다음에 이건 쉽죠? 근데 이건 안 돼요. 이렇게 말하면 안 돼요. 확인하십시오. This sounds very much like a command. So don't say 십시오. Maybe in spoken Korean or when you are actually talking with somebody yourself, just avoid 십시오 altogether. You will never say it unless you are making a public PA, like public announcement, or writing warning somewhere in written Korean. You are never going to actually say it to anybody. So yeah, 확인하십시오. Don't say it. Yeah, 확인해 주세요. 괜찮으시면 확인해 주세요. Yeah, if it's okay, please check. I think you can drop 괜찮으시면 actually, because the other person will decide whether it's okay now to check something. So 확인해 주세요 is good. And then number 2, this is a common greeting between Korean people because everybody tends to be busy, seems to be busy. Quite busy these days, right? Even though you're not quite sure, it's pretty safe to say 요즘 많이 바쁘시죠? 요즘 많이 바쁘시죠? 요즘 is these days, lately. 많이, very, a lot. 바쁘다 is to be busy. 시다 is just polite honorific suffix. 죠, coming from 지요. 지 is right. You're doing this right, like right, correct. 요, polite ending. 요즘 많이 바쁘시죠? So this doesn't mean you must be busy or I have reasons to believe that you're busy or things like that. It's just showing empathy. Oh, you must be busy because obviously you are working. So it's a very common greeting, almost like meaningless sometimes, but people say it all the time. You will hear it between neighbors or coworkers. And then this one, 고생 많으셨습니다 or 수고하셨습니다. These are very poorly translated into English as thanks for the hard work, good work, great job, thank you. But yeah, 고생 많으셨습니다, 수고하셨습니다. This is not only business Korean, so you probably have heard of this before. 들어보셨을 거예요. 비즈니스 한국어만은 아니기 때문에 들어보셨을 것 같은데 I think you've heard it many times. 고생 많으셨습니다. 고생 is hardship, hard work, suffering. You had a lot of suffering. 수고하셨습니다. You did a lot of suffering, hard work. So, TTMIC Stories에 많이 나와요. 그럴 수 있겠네요. Between people say it all the time. And then, so these are a little easier. This one is very good for applying to many situations. When you want to say thanks for doing so and so, you can say 고생 많으셨습니다 after 느라 or 쉬느라. Okay? Yes, you can use those to mean thank you for your service. 고생 많으셨습니다. Yeah, 고생 많으셨습니다. So, for example, if you have a coworker that has worked somewhere for the past 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, it's an acknowledgement of their service or hard work, dedication. 그동안 고생 많으셨습니다. For example, 10년 동안 고생 많으셨습니다. Thank you for your service for the past 10 years. Something like that. Yeah, you can say it as an example. Okay, and back to 느라. This 느라 or 쉬느라. So in 반말, you can say 느라 only, but in 존댓말, you can accompany it with accompany 시 here. So 여기까지 오시느라 고생 많으셨습니다. So let's write some other sample sentences. 작업 마무리 하시느라 고생 많으셨습니다. You did a lot of 고생 finishing up that project, that work, or for example, let's say you moved offices. 이사하시느라 고생 많으셨습니다. What else? 준비하시느라. So you need to practice this a lot, right? So 하시느라. Maybe it sounds like a name somewhere, maybe. So 하시느라. So maybe it sounds like a Japanese name, 하시느라. So anyway, 이사하시느라 고생 많으셨습니다. 준비하시느라 고생 많으셨습니다. You can change the ending. You can come up with other variations like 준비하시느라 고생 많으셨어요. Or 고생 많으셨죠? With a worrying look. 고생 많으셨죠? 작업 마무리하시느라 고생하셨어요. Yeah, 고생하셨어요. So there are several variations, but the key here is this 쉬느라. All right? And by the way, if you are a member on our website, a subscriber there, you can also practice with me. I will have you say these sentences tomorrow at the same time on our community forum. So yeah, join there as well. And I'll be looking forward to hearing you say all these very, very naturally tomorrow at the same time, 8 a.m. Korean time. Okay, I hope I gave enough explanation about this 쉬느라 portion. While doing something, because of doing something, due to doing something, you 고생 많았어요. That's the structure. 멀리까지 오시느라 고생 많으셨어요. Yeah, so you can, yeah, like Rina just wrote, you can change it to 많으셨어요. The more, I guess, less formal 존댓말. Are number 3 and 4 okay to say to someone who is above me at the company? Yes, absolutely okay. 고생 많으셨습니다 is absolutely okay and safe to use somebody who is above you at work. Okay. These 4 are related to time and schedule. Okay. Let me know when it's good for you. In business Korean, very commonly you say 편한 시간 알려주세요. 알리다 is to let somebody know. So 알다 is to know, and this 리 here, 리, along with like 이, 히, 리, 키, yeah, this is a causative suffix. So what it means is to many verbs, to the verb stem, after, you take out the ta. All Korean verbs end with ta in the dictionary. You take out the ta and you have the verb stem, and you play with the verb stem to conjugate it. And you add, depending on what verb stem it is, you add one of these 4, and then it becomes the causative form. So here, even if you don't know any Korean rules, you can pretty much see that the one that'll go in the nicest flow with 알 is this one. because 알이 is more work, 알히 is even more work, 알기다 it's also more work. So why not use the same consonant 알리다, right? So 알리다 is to make someone know, causing somebody to know. So 알리다 is to let somebody know or to tell people, to spread word, to announce. It can be translated into many things. So write that down. I like that emoji. So 알려주세요, please let me know is 알려주세요. This is the logic behind it. Are there any rules as to which causative suffix to use? Mainly, you could say there are some rules, but it's mainly intuition. I know it's a bad answer from a teacher who loves teaching grammar, but you will see there's a pattern. For example, 입다 is to wear. A really quick causative suffix lesson here. 신다 is to wear or to put on shoes and to put on clothes. You know how there are so many verbs for wearing something in Korean, right? For every different part of your clothing. So you can kind of try, if you're not sure among these four which one to use, you can say 입이다, is it 입히다, is it 입리다? So 입리다 is obviously too much work, so it's probably not the one to use. 입기다. So you can try yourself like that, or when you read aloud, when you listen to a lot of stuff, you will naturally stumble upon these. But to put on becomes 입히다. 입히다. And this one becomes 신. Can you guess? 신이다, 신히다, 신리다. 신리 is probably not the one. So 신기다. So with a lot of verbs, if it's nian that finishes the verb stem, it's ki. And if it's piub, it's hiad. And there are some patterns. Yeah. So it'll quickly sound right by reading and listening a lot. That's what I suggest. Okay? 신기다. 신발을 신겼어요. I made or helped the child put on his shoes. Put the shoes on the child's feet. Something like that. So 알려주세요. 편한 시간, comfortable time. 편한 시간 알려주세요. Just remember this or practice this and memorize it as a set expression, fixed expression. 편한 시간 알려주세요. 편한 시간 알려주세요. 편한 시간 알려주세요. 네, 편한 시간 알려주세요. Keep saying it over and over again until it becomes really 편해 to you. Okay. And then when you are walking by somebody and you literally want to grab that person and say, do you have a minute? Do you have a moment? 잠깐. 잠깐 is for a little bit. A little bit of time is 잠깐. So 잠깐만 is wait. Just a little bit. Just a moment. 시간. Time. 괜찮으세요? So there can be an argument about whether it's okay to use the 시, the 세 suffix about 시간, but you can safely say that this is not about 시간. It's hey, you, your time, it's about you. So you're saying this honorific suffix, 잠깐, 시간 괜찮으세요? And if you were to really strictly abide by the rules and say, you can never use honorifics about some concept, which is time here, or object, 시간 괜찮아요. And if you say that, it feels like there's a lack of politeness. So people say 괜찮으세요? 시간 괜찮아요? You can only safely use this to somebody younger or lower in rank. 시간 괜찮으세요? Okay, so that was more simple. And then 가능할까요? This is super, super common. You suggest a goal or a timeline, due date, and say with a smile as a boss, 가능할까요? 가능할까요? Or with a cautionary look on your face, like 좀 조심스럽게, 아니면 웃으면서, 미소를 지으면서. You can say it with various types of looks on your face. 가능할까요? Do you think it'll be possible? 조심스럽게, cautiously, 웃으면서, while laughing or smiling, 미소를 지으면서, while smiling. 가능 means possibility. Possibility. 가능. 가능하다 is to be possible. Sometimes Ruptech asked, do you use two keyboards or just switch languages? I switch languages. On a Mac, you switch languages between English and Korean. If you have the Korean keyboard installed on your system, you switch with the caps lock. On Windows, you switch with like maybe option. But sometimes when I switch languages and then start typing right away, it doesn't switch. So I have to give it a like split second. 가능하다, 가능할까요 is asking a question in a more soft way. 가능할까요? I wonder if it's possible. But it is super, super common in business Korean, business situations. 가능할까요? So for example, 오늘까지 가능할까요? By today, will it be possible? 내일까지 가능할까요? Can you finish it by tomorrow? 이번 주 금요일까지 가능할까요? Will it be possible to finish it by this Friday? Okay? 좋아요. 그리고 편한 시간을 알려주세요. 편한 시간 있으면 알려주세요. 이렇게 말할 수도 있어요. 리나님, 네, 그렇게 말을 하셔도 됩니다. Alright, and then another time-related expression, you can also ask, okay, when do you think you can finish it by? And give less pressure by suggesting a certain date yourself. So you can say 언제까지, 언제까지, until when or by when. Until when, by when. 언제까지 가능할까요? 언제까지 가능할까요? So try saying it a few times. 언제까지 가능할까요? And then here, 참고하겠습니다. 참고하겠습니다 is also commonly used when you want to say, okay, got that. I see that. I see what you mean. And 참고, the first time, I guess, native Korean speakers, Korean people hear the word 참고 as a child is when they say, or at least in my experience, it was like 참고서 or 참고서적. So 참고서 was when you are studying with your textbooks. Those are 교과서, textbooks. 교과서, or sometimes pronounced as 교과서. Either is fine. People say 교과서 all the time. Standard pronunciation was 교과서, but I think now 교과서 is also accepted. 교과서 or 교과서. So 교과서, you have the 교과서, the textbooks that's the schools or the government gives you. And then 참고서 are all the other books that you buy on the side to study more. All the workbooks, all the vocabulary books for English or things like that. Those are 참고서, so 참고. And then when you reach working age, this 참고 becomes, I'll keep that in mind. I got that. Okay, I'll make sure to remember that the next time I do something. Okay, yeah, reference. So the reason that this is interesting is because when you translate it, okay, I will refer to that. It doesn't sound very natural. That's a good question. 참고하겠습니다 is more proper than 알겠습니다. Sometimes it's more proper. 참고하겠습니다 versus 알겠습니다. So, okay, when you heard something like a piece of advice, a direct order, I guess, I don't know, some guideline, and you say 알겠습니다, it sends a signal that, okay, I will do exactly as you said. 알겠습니다. I got it. I'll do it. No other room for my own thinking. Okay. Accept it. I'll do it. 참고하겠습니다, on the other hand, is it can sound like 알겠습니다, but sometimes if you're on the more stubborn side, you're like, okay, I'll keep that in mind, but I might not do exactly what you said. Or the piece of information is about something that's further down the road in the future that I will use, so it's not going to be 알겠습니다. So there's a little difference. It's an attitude difference. So 참고하겠습니다. So you can say 참고하겠습니다 to somebody's comment and then do something completely different because you only did refer to it, or you just, thought of it as a side note. Do you see the difference? 좀 차이가 있죠. 그리고 그 다음으로 이것도 시간 이야기인데요. 최대한 빨리 해보겠습니다. ASAP, ASAP. You will sometimes hear as a joke, ASAP. Some people will say ASAP in spoken Korean, but it's just to be funny. I don't recommend that you use it yourself, but 최대한 빨리. Maybe used too often in Korean conversations at workplaces because there's a lot of pressure sometimes. So 최대한 빨리 해보겠습니다. 최대한 빨리 해보겠습니다. I'll try to do it as quickly as possible, as soon as possible. So you will see that. And 최대한, if you are not familiar with this 최대한 so and so, it can be as much or as so as possible. So and so as possible. 최대한 일찍, as early as possible. 최대한 잘, as well as possible. So 최 is most, superlative. 대 is big, and 한, limit. So basically 최대한 means to the utmost big limit, but the meaning of big is also not very emphasized when you say 최대한 as an example because it's just the superlative. All right, let's move on to the 11th one is when you greet somebody who just came back from 최대한 max. 최대한 꼭 gym language는 아니에요. 네, 근데 최대치, 최대 max. 최대치, like max weight, maybe max value. I'm not a regular like gym person. I mean, I go to the gym regularly, but I don't use the jargon. So maybe I'll look it up. 휴가 잘 다녀오셨어요. So when somebody came back from a vacation, a day off, 휴가 잘 다녀오셨어요. Even if it was just 1 day or 2 days, you can say it very safely. 휴가 잘 다녀오셨어요. In English, you will often say, how was your vacation? Was your vacation good, right? But in Korean, you say, instead of 어땠어요? You say 잘 다녀오다. 잘 다녀오다. People focus more heavily on 다녀오다. When you go somewhere, you're going to come back, right? So kids who go to school and come back home, they'll say instead of saying in English, when you want to say I'm home, you say 다녀왔습니다. You don't say 왔습니다. You say 다녀왔습니다. 다니다, go and come back, like a round trip, or going around is 다니다. So 다녀왔습니다. And I don't know if you just heard my kids go to school, but they said to my wife, 다녀올게, like 학교에 다녀올게. So 학교 갈게, they never say 학교 갈게, because when you go somewhere regularly and come back home regularly, you have to use it as a package, focusing on the round trip situation. So my kids speak 존댓말, polite language to my wife, their mom, and then to me. No, it's the other way. 반말 to them, 반말 to my wife, and then 존댓말 to me. I don't know why. Maybe because I speak 존댓말 to my parents. They saw me doing that, so maybe dad prefers 존댓말. So that's been our relationship. So they will say 다녀올게 to my wife, and then 다녀올게요 to me. So anyway, 다녀오다. When somebody came back from a vacation, 잘 다녀오셨어요? It's a very, very common phrase as a fixed expression. And then we have 4 more. Maybe they were being careful because they know sometimes when I do these live classes here at home, they know to be quieter than usual. I think it's fine that they sometimes try to come in and all that, but okay. Expression number 12. When you want an update on something, you can ask more specific questions like 어떻게 되고 있어요? How is it progressing? 잘 되고 있어요? Is it going well? Stuff like that. But more professionally, you can just simply say 업데이트 부탁드립니다. 업데이트 부탁드립니다. Update is update and 부탁 is request. 드립니다 is I give you this request, and it has become one word, one expression without spacing. 업데이트 부탁드립니다. Please give me an update, and that kind of lessens the burden a little bit. 업데이트 부탁드립니다. Instead of saying, how's it going? Are you almost done yet? Right? And then when you also got some feedback about something maybe you did wrong or you could have improved, you can say 주의하겠습니다. 하겠습니다 is I will do something, but 주의. 주의 is the spelling, but in reality, people just say 주의. 주의하겠습니다. 주의하겠습니다. Okay? 주의하겠습니다. You were late to a meeting several times, or you wrote something wrong several times, you can say 주의하겠습니다. 앞으로 주의하겠습니다. 다음부터 주의하겠습니다. I hope you don't have to say this at all in any situation, but 앞으로 is from now on. It doesn't mean forward here. 앞으로 가, like march forward is 앞으로, the same word, but going forward in the future is 앞으로 as well. And 다음부터 from the next time. 앞으로 and 다음부터 are very commonly used. And then just 2 more left. When you were asked a question and you don't know the answer, instead of saying 몰라요, 모르겠어요, I don't know, why ask me? Stuff like that, you can say I'll check and get back to you. 조심하겠습니다. Okay, switching to 주의하겠습니다 really quickly. 조심하겠습니다. I would say 조심 and 주의 carry different kinds of weight. 조심하겠습니다. So maybe when you are about the same kind of mistake, you can sound a little more formal with 주의하겠습니다 than 조심하겠습니다. But let's say if you are using the same kind of formality, I think 조심하겠습니다 is about something more serious. 조심하겠습니다. 주의하겠습니다 like was a slight typo. Somebody wrote my name is 현수 instead of 현우, and then I'm like, who's 현수? And then you can say 주의하겠습니다. But then you called me 승환, like a completely different person's name, which is my coworker. And then I got really mad at you, and you can say 조심하겠습니다. 조심하겠습니다. 현수님. Something like that. My name is Hyunwoo, by the way, if you are not familiar with it. So yeah, a little more serious as a mistake, maybe. But 주의하다 in itself as a word, it sounds more formal. But 조심하다 is like, be careful. And then when you don't know something, you can say 확인해보고 말씀드릴게요. All the expressions that I'm introducing today, if you're watching this as a rerun, these are all very commonly used in everyday situations. So you can just practice and memorize these expressions and say them as is without changing anything. Okay? 확인해보고 말씀드릴게요. 확인해보고 말씀드릴게요. I'll check and get back to you. Just like the English expression, 확인해보고 말씀드릴게요 is so commonly used that when you hear it from someone, your expectations of getting the answer right away are not very high. Okay, so he doesn't know. She doesn't know. And then you can, if you're not getting an immediate update, you can ask, 업데이트 부탁드립니다. 확인해보고 알려주신다고 한 것, 업데이트 부탁드립니다. I'll write that. Something like that. 확인해보고 the thing that you said you would get back to me about after checking, 업데이트 부탁드립니다. Please give me an update. And lastly, 이런 건 어떨까요? When you are suggesting something, you can say 이런 거. So 이거 어때요? Starting with the simplest form. How about this? 이거 어때요? If you are quite comfortable with your coworker, with the person you're talking to, you can say 이거 어때요? You're friendly or close. 이거 어때요? Works fine. 이거는 어때요? You add the 는 particle and it's 이건 어때요? In shortened form, 이건 어때요 is like, okay, how about this one? As a little bit of a dramatic effect, 이거 어때요? It's like clearly pointing at something, but then 이거는 어때요? It attracts more attention. How about this? Right? And then instead of saying 이건 어때요? You can say 이런 건 어때요? Which is 이런 것은, right? 이런 건 어때요? And then how about something like this? You add a little bit of anticipation to it. And then 어떨까요? 이런 건 어떨까요? You're throwing the question kind of in the air, not to the other person directly, by saying, I wonder how something like this will look. So a very, very fluent expression. 이런 건 어떨까요? When you say 이런 건 어떨까요? The usual reaction will be very positive, I think. All right, let me really quickly go over all the phrases that we looked at just now and then answer some of your questions, okay? First of all, when you want to say, please check something, you say 확인 부탁드립니다. Try not to use the ending 십시오 just because you want to sound a little more formal. This sounds more like a direct command, like an order. So it's not even too formal, but it's not very polite. 확인 부탁드립니다 is way better. And then it's a common greeting. 요즘 많이 바쁘시죠? Quite busy these days, right? So remember that. And then when you want to thank somebody or acknowledge somebody's hard work, even if you did that thing with the other person together, you can say 고생 많으셨습니다. 수고하셨습니다. And then when you want to specify what they did to earn that 고생 많으셨습니다 comment, you can say this. You can use this 쉬느라, like for or while doing something. And then 편한 시간 알려주세요. You can say that to mean, okay, let me know when it's good for you. And then we also talked about 잠깐 시간 괜찮으세요? Do you have a minute? And you suggest an idea or deadline. You can say 가능할까요? Do you think that's doable? 오늘까지 가능할까요? I don't say I usually don't say 오늘까지 가능할까요 to my coworkers. And 언제까지 가능할까요? When can you do it by? And when you want to say, I'll keep that in mind, I will probably not completely, absolutely do it the way you suggest, but I'll keep that in mind is 참고하겠습니다. And I'll do it as ASAP. 최대한 빨리 해보겠습니다. Somebody came back from a vacation. 휴가 잘 다녀오셨어요? 업데이트 부탁드립니다. Please give me an update. A nicer way to say, are you done yet? 주의하겠습니다. I'll be careful. When you don't know something, you can earn a little bit of time by saying 확인해보고 말씀드릴게요. And then you can suggest something by saying 이런 건 어떨까요? That was a quick wrap up of today's live class. Okay. Some questions. A question not related to current topic, but can you tell me the difference between 기쁘다 and 행복하다? Well, 행복하다 is more general. To be happy as a person in life. Yeah, that's it. So, are you happy or not? When you ask the philosophical question, that's 행복해요. 기쁘다, 행복하다. So, 기쁘다. What does it keep going back to the smaller font? 기쁘다 is to be happy in that moment, to hear a certain piece of news, or to see something. It's more momentary, and 행복하다 is more long-term. But I think the English word happy or happiness is also affecting the Korean language, and people do say 행복하다 more commonly than before, in my opinion, when they want to talk about momentary happiness. And then, could any of these phrases possibly be used towards a professor maybe? Or are these phrases only used in the business world? You can say these to your professor too. These are business Korean, but yeah, they can be applied to university academic settings as well. About the causative form, can we use it to ask someone, for example, to put the shoes on the child? 네, 쓸 수 있어요. 그러니까 이게 영어로 좀 더 복잡한 것 같아요. I think it's more complicated in English. 즐겁다도 설명드릴게요. 즐겁다. 일단 옷을 입다, to put on clothes. to 입히다 or 입히다, to dress someone. 옷 입혀주세요. Please dress, him or her. 옷 입혀주세요. You can ask somebody to dress somebody. So 신발 신겨주세요. 운동화 신겨주세요. So 운동화 is running shoes. Tennis shoes 신겨주세요. So I can ask somebody to say, make sure they wear running shoes today because they have, sports class today. So 운동화 신겨주세요. You can use it like that as a request. How can I tell my coworker that unfortunately I don't have any update yet? Thank you, Derek, for the question. I don't have an update yet. 아직 업데이트 드릴 내용이 없습니다. 아직 업데이트 you can use it as is. 아직 업데이트 드릴 내용이 없습니다. Or you can say 죄송하지만, if you are the one that needs to be apologetic, maybe you can say 아직 업데이트 드릴 내용이 없습니다. Or 아직은 you can say 아직 진행된 내용이 없습니다. So 진행하다 is to progress with something. 진행되다 is to be progressed or to be done, to progressed. So you can say 진행된 내용이 없습니다. 진행된 내용이 없습니다. These are good expressions to use. 아직은 진행된 내용이 없습니다. 아직은 업데이트 드릴 내용이 없습니다. 내용 is content or something, or stuff. And Audi-님 just wanted to say thank you for the updated features in SEO. I love having the strict tracker and ultimately have the Talk to Me in Korean team voices made such a huge difference for me. Thank you so much. If you're not familiar with what Audi is talking about, we added an update. We actually did it last week. We just posted the Instagram reel yesterday. And instead of using the text-to-speech machine-generated voices in our lesson units, because the lesson unit sentences we're talking about our speaking app, SEO. These are fixed sentences. It was a lot of work to generate the MP3 or audio files using machine-generated voices, but still they didn't sound as natural as human voices. So that we thought that was a really good suggestion by many people. We went ahead and did that. In unit 1, you already have our voices, my voice saying 안녕하세요. But we're saying everything slowly, right? Enunciating everything. But in level 2, 3, 4, and 5 higher levels, you will see the updates coming to those levels soon as well. And there, we're actually speaking as we speak every day. 진짜 자연스럽게 말하거든요. 레벨 3, 4, 5에서는 평소에 말하는 것처럼 말해요. We talk like we normally talk in those higher levels. So that'll be really good to practice with. 그리고 will we upload this live stream to our channel? Yes, this live class will be available for reviewing. 그리고 지원하다. I think you're talking about apply. Yep, apply is 지원하다, 신청하다. Or it can be 가입하다. So 지원하다 is apply to apply or to volunteer. Normally 제가 지원하겠습니다. Who can help this person? 지원하시는 분 있나요? 지원자. So 지원 in this case 지원자 applicant is a volunteer. A person who's volunteering. 신청하다 is to sign up or to apply for a service or aid, help. Okay? And then if you are the one that's joining a website, like signing up for a service like ours, that is neither 지원하다 nor 신청하다. It's just 가입하다. You're joining a service, 가입하다. So if it's something that you can apply for and receive, like for example, a scholarship, 장학금. Scholarship. 장 is recommending, encouraging. 학 is studying. 금 is money. Encourage, study, money. 장학금. So if you can apply and just get it, it's usually 장학금을 신청했어요. So sometimes you have to be selected to get it, but 장학금을 신청했어요. And then somebody said, who can help clean the office? 사무실 청소 도와주실 분? Who can clean the office? By the way, we have somebody cleaning the office for us. The building does it for us. But let's say we do this, and then you can say, 제가 지원하겠습니다. I'll apply. So it's a more volunteering situation. Okay. Is SEO app safe, I wonder, since it uses AI? Yeah, I think I know it is safe because I know a lot of people have different opinions about AI technology, about their information, but we only use AI technology to generate, I guess, imaginary conversations. So as long as you don't spell out your, I don't know, bank account number or password or stuff like that, and even if you say personal things, there was no way for us to know anything ourselves. So yeah, I'm not an AI expert, but because I use AI tools very, very frequently, almost every day, several hours a day to facilitate my work, and I feel comfortable. So I hope you feel comfortable as well. 그리고 세요 앱은 무료는 아니에요. It's not a free app. You need to sign up, but you do get a free trial. What's my favorite AI model? I use everything. I use the Google one, and also I use ChatGPT, I use Claude, everything. And everything does different things better, I think. But I would say the platform that I use most of my time on when I use AI tools is ChatGPT. Yeah. Oops. 등록하다. 등록하다는 it's registering. So you can just register, fill in some information, and then you are registered somewhere. That's 등록하다. If you use ChatGPT without feeling worried, you can use our 세요 app safely as well. 네. 그리고 한국어, ChatGPT 한국어가 처음에는 솔직히 좀 부자연스러웠는데, honestly speaking, in the beginning, Korean didn't sound very natural in ChatGPT, especially the voice, but now it's way better. Text is a little on the, I guess, written language like, still very, very written language like, because there's a huge difference between written language and Korean, spoken Korean in general to begin with, but it's gotten way better. So with English and many other languages, you can actually pretty frequently, you can just copy and paste some text and then show it to somebody and they won't know that it's written by an AI tool. But in Korean, it's pretty obvious to me. But with the voice, it's also even more obvious still. But I think it's a matter of time that it'll become really, really natural. 좋아요. 한국에서도 AI에 대한 대화는 많이 하고 있어요. Especially because, the private education sector is so big in Korea. People do talk about AI, the importance of AI in the future, because let's say in other cultures, in other countries, the amount of time that, say, 11-year-olds, 10-year-olds spend just playing outdoors is way bigger than the amount of time that Korean kids play outdoors. For example, not our kids, but the friends, the classmates of my kids, they often attend 11 different private institutes after school. So they have like 3-4 things to attend, and by the time they finish all their, some of them, okay, not everybody, by the time they're done with their daily schedule, it's like 9 p.m., 10 p.m. for some of them, and they have to do, I'm talking about boys that are 11 years old, right? My kid's age. And so people start to think, okay, so many parents are spending upwards of $1,000 a month or sometimes $2,000 a month on private education. What is it all going to lead to eventually? How is it going to help my child live a happy life? So people start wondering, and then if I make them study this much and try to have them get a nice diploma, but what if all the jobs will change due to AI technology? It'll be replaced by people using really these, good tools really well. So yeah, there's more conversation these days, And I have always believed that it is better to let the kids play more than just study too hard, because I did that myself as a teenager. You know, I was in high school. I was in my school classroom from 7:30 a.m. until sometimes 1 a.m. every single day, especially in my third year in high school. That was really tough. So I can't help but wonder, what's the point, right? So there's a lot of conversation these days. Is it better to just get them started on how to use their creativity on these tools? And that is why I allow my child, on their iPads, you as a parent, you can choose which apps to allow to be used completely freely, and then limit screen time. So all the video games are limited in screen time on our kids' iPads. During the weekdays, they can't play any games. On the weekends, they have 2 hours of screen time, whatever app they choose. But then the drawing apps, the ChatGPT, all the creativity related apps, and the pencil, they're all free to use for them if they have time. Yeah, let the kids be kids. That's the conversation. Yeah, 1 a.m. When I was 18, in my third year in high school, our formal class will finish at 10 p.m. every day, and then we would have 30 minutes of break time. And because I was living in the dormitory especially, we could either go to bed or volunteer to study until 1:30 a.m. in the study hall. I did that every day. And yeah, at the time I enjoyed it, I think. But looking back, what did I even learn? What did I even memorize that I still remember? I think I was just training for more discipline. That's what I did. But yeah, I don't think I really needed to do that. Okay. 맞아요. 네. 발레리아나 좋은 말씀입니다. 아이들이 더 경쟁을 하게 만드는 도구가 아니면 좋겠네요. So that was a different topic. I digressed a little bit, but thank you so much for joining today. And I have something fun to look forward to this morning, because we have this open class for parents this morning for my kids' school. So I'm actually walking to my kids' school to see their classroom. We do this, the school does this every year, and I'm looking forward to seeing my kids. When you go to this open class events, the kids are so happy, and they normally, kids who are normally shy and they don't raise their hands to ask questions or participate, they're like, oh, my mom is here, my dad is here. They raise their hands really competitively. So it's fun to watch. 그래서 참관 수업, observation class, 참관 수업 갈 예정입니다. Yeah, it's a proud parent moment. It's so much fun to watch these kids say the answers out loud. Oh, and then they come back home and say, did you see me guessing the quiz question correctly? 봤어요? So that's fun. All right, so see you tomorrow at the same time on our website, and keep studying. 공부 계속하세요. 그럼 내일 봐요. 감사합니다. 바이바이.